Well, hello everybody. We have a scandal to talk about, and the scandal is because of the size of government. The bigger the government is getting across the world, not just in the UK, the harder it is for us ordinary people, the voters, and technically speaking, the politician we elect to actually hold it to account. It's getting so big and so scandalous that even the MPs we have elected, even the ministers who work on our behalf in government, in the cabinet, don't even know a lot of the stuff that happens behind the scenes. Well, this is about the NHS, specifically the NHS app, who is gathering data, specifically facial data, from all of you if you use the app, and then they give it to private companies. Now, in the past, we've had the issues with the contractors and obviously private sector getting involved with the NHS, and you could, technically speaking, justify a bit of private sector support because the public sector on its own cannot do the things that, for example, a healthcare system should do. The issue that we have is that even in the past, with the private providers getting involved with the public sector, we had scrutiny. We technically had some transparency to an extent. Well, when Matt Hancock was Health Secretary, we had the problems with the contracts. Some of them were, signed without actually going through the proper process. This time, they are using the facial data that they gather, collect through the app, and they give it to private contractors and companies that have nothing to do with the actual healthcare in that sense, and that we don't even know who they are. So this scandal has now been broken. I'm so surprised that not many people in the media are really mentioning this right now. Undisclosed companies are analyzing facial data collected by the NHS app, which is used by more than 16 million English citizens. So that's one problem. The second issue is that we've already had a complete debate and discussion around iProof, one of the companies that contractors with the NHS because of lack of transparency in the past. Now, thanks to the Guardian for once, we now understand that the French company Teleperformance, which has attracted criticism in the UK over working conditions, uses their contractors. They have a list of contractors to do the similar work on the two contracts worth £35 million. So this French company has a list of subcontractors underneath. They are using the data that the NHS is collecting from all of you, well, most of you, obviously 16 million people in England, and then they're giving it to them so that they could use for their own purposes. Now, this is a big issue. We know that, for example, some people have criticized Amazon and Alexa for collecting data for marketing purposes. That is a bit of a difference because you choose as a consumer to buy and pay for Alexa, for Amazon's Alexa. You choose to then essentially sign a contract with Amazon as a consumer to then for them to use your voice or your data, your search history. Then what they do is then they use it for marketing purposes to then try to sell you more stuff. That is still fine. Well, not really, but it's still fine because you chose to get into that contract. We, as consumers of the healthcare system of the NHS, have not been told about this. Politicians didn't even know about this, not all of them at least. No one really knew who's in charge of these contracts, why they're collecting our data, and what are they going to be doing exactly with them. Because yesterday we were talking about the so-called immunity or health passports. That's a whole different problem as well. But this is a big issue. Both digital and NHS Digital and Teleperformance have declined to provide a list of the subcontractors that use our facial data. Now, they say that, I'm guessing, privacy reasons? Why is it that we don't have privacy reasons when it comes to us, you collecting our data? We have no say in that. You just take it. We didn't even know. When you sign up to the NHS app, you do agree to certain things. They did not say anything about a French company having some subcontractors collecting your facial data and then using it for other purposes that they have. There's no accountability here. There's no transparency. And then the NHS themselves have published a partly redacted version of one of the contracts with this French company, a £7 million agreement covering April to June this year, but has not published a larger £28 million contract running from June 2021 to March 2022. I mean, why? Again, if a private company try to protect their own interests and business interests and say that, well, for business purposes, legal purposes, we need some sort of secrecy and privacy. We can't really publish everything that happens. The NHS is a public body. They work for us. We are not only the consumers of the NHS, we are their bosses. We pay their salaries more than we should do. But they say that, well, despite the fact that the people of this country are the bosses of the NHS, they are running the country. They decide what we need to know and how we need to know it. Is that really democracy? Or democracy is dead? Because with everything that's been going on since 2020 across the world, especially the so-called Western developed world and places like Australia, do we really think we have democracy or freedom at this point? Because we don't really know exactly why these sort of things happen. When you read the third paragraph, it also hasn't published a data protection impact assessment, the DPIA, a document governing how the personal data of people signing up to the NHS app is used, collected and stored. That's the biggest scandal. That when you sign up to the app, like anything else, you go through certain agreements and just say I agree. Most of the time you don't really read the terms and conditions. Not many people do. But with certain things, even I do, because it's important to know exactly what's going on. They haven't even included that when you sign up. Nobody knew that your facial data, and much more, of course much more, it's been happening in the past. It's been collected, they're being sent to a private corporation because they have lobbied the government, and they go hand in hand. It's the whole situation with Serco and other big corporations, who just because they have the power and the money, and essentially politicians in their pockets, then whatever they want happens. The governments and politicians, they have to say yes to them. Ordinary businesses, small, medium-sized businesses, or individual citizens, we don't have that much power to lobby the government unless you're Greta Thunberg. And again, even she doesn't really count because she gets all the public funding from big corporations and big names. So technically, that's not even an individual citizen in that sense. Why? Why are we going through this again? Yesterday, as you saw, if you haven't seen it, definitely make sure to watch the video. We exposed the scandal of the UK government telling us that they have implemented Brexit, so we are now a sovereign and independent country, and then they are potentially sending us into a European Union scheme on the so-called health passport, or digital ID cards, essentially. We are joining the European Union scheme. It's an EU program. We've done Brexit. We're supposed to be an independent country. But the European Union have managed to lobby a number of countries, it's now more than 40 countries, some of them outside the EU, to get them to agree to join their health passport scheme, so then they could also centralize everything and with bureaucracy and collect data. They've told everyone, by the way, we're not going to do it centrally, we're just giving you the program and your governments and regional governments will sort it out. I mean, it's being run by Brussels. It's essentially centralized, and they always have the power to get access to all the data and information. So don't really believe this. When I made that video yesterday, I wasn't really not expecting to do another expose on this area when it comes to health with the NHS or our government. Slightly embarrassing. It's bad. And we're talking about this issue right now at a time, in a week, where the Labour Party are holding their conference in Brighton. Her Majesty's opposition. These are the people that we have as alternative if this government goes down. Like partisan aside, tribalism aside, whether left wing or right wing is good, Tory or Labour, this is the alternative government. And they are talking about toilets and random stuff or skirts or whatever they talk about. Really? I mean, we have actual scandals. They're going around discussing weird stuff that they do as usual in their conferences. We have no hope at this point. We have us. I have you. You have obviously this community that we have to try to tell the truth, try to share the truth, and that's your job now, to share this video. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. And if you want to obviously watch the full version of the main shows that we can't really post on this, then definitely check out myotc.co.uk where you can actually get access to all the daily shows that we have. The link is in the description. Definitely check it out if you want to support independent media. Check out the link and you can sign up to either a monthly subscription or you could do a one-off annual. If you don't want to have a direct debit in a monthly payment, you could do it quick with a discount. You could do a one-off annual payment and support our independent, smaller channel compared to the big, complacent mainstream media.